What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. I'm John Kelly, and along with me is Jeremiah Stringer, the king of Kentucky backpacking. And we are brought to you by Outdoor Vitals, makers of Performance First ultralight gear. And Jeremiah, right now, they are running a sale on the Nova Pro jacket.
Dude, I'm wearing the Nova UL jacket right now. I literally had to take it off. I've been sitting here talking to you, drinking coffee.
And burning up.
We talked for a few minutes before the show. This jacket, I call it the Ghost Whisperer Killer. Honestly, our sponsor probably doesn't want me to mention other companies comparing it, but this thing is better, you know? This it's got pit zips. If you get a little hot, that's what I should have done, is unzipped it. And right now, that sale, I think it's $80 off if you have a Live Ultralight membership, or $60 off if you don't.
And it's already a jacket that is priced reasonably for what it is. The Nova Pro jacket has to be the warmest cold weather jacket I've personally owned that isn't that doesn't weigh 3.5 pounds.
Yeah, the Nova Pro is super warm. This is the Nova UL, which is also ultra warm, but it's their winter jacket, man. It's fantastic. And if you do miss the sale, that's okay. If you check our description, we have an exclusive link just for you to get you $50 off of the Vario jacket, which is another awesome jacket that Outdoor Vitals makes.
And I think it's the perfect backpacking and everyday, like fall, spring jacket. It's warm enough in temperatures like 40s. Even into the 30s, you could probably wear that jacket and be just fine. But, man, it is just an awesome jacket. And if you are a fan of Outdoor Vitals, go over and check them out at outdoorvitals.com. And click the link below where you can get that special deal. Jeremiah, we got some updates we need. And I need to hear, and I think everybody needs to hear, what happened with the dog situation that we talked about last week.
Oh, man. Yeah, if y'all missed it last week, we talked for a long time. I hit a dog, found the owner. He didn't want to pay. After talking to much wiser people than myself, everybody pretty much told me if he offers you anything to fix your truck up because it done $500 worth of damage, take it.
Yeah.
So he and I have settled as of this morning for $150 toward the fixing up of the vehicle. And get this, John, after we sign a contract saying that we're done with this and I accept the $150, then he's going to provide me the evidence that he has against me that he was going to use in court if I were to sue him. So I'm excited to hear what that is. Maybe he has I'm just imagining what could it be? I think maybe a ring camera or
evidence. Like
that's
like you tried to hit the dog on purpose?
Well, there were no witnesses besides myself and the dogs. And one of the dogs, there was two dogs. Neither one of them can talk. One of them's dead. The other one ran back home. So I'm not really sure what the evidence is.
Yeah.
I wasn't speeding.
I mean, we're not in Europe. There's no CCTV everywhere. So
yeah, I don't think besides the doorbell cameras, this is like rural Kentucky. What could it be?
Well, and honestly, man, I think you probably made the wisest decision because realistically, that's not a battle you want to go into. You're going to spend more money fighting it than you would getting what you're getting now, you know?
Yeah, and he was telling me this morning he's not in the best of circumstances anyway, and I knew that just from the interactions and seeing their lifestyle and stuff. And he was telling me maybe just playing the sad violin. I don't know, but it sounded like it's pretty rough because we've had some in Kentucky. We don't really get single digits weather, and we are getting like 8 degrees coming up. It's cold. So I think
it's been cold this last week. We had several days. I think I woke up and it was 4 degrees the other day. And in Kentucky, that might as well be 20 below.
Yeah, people's pipes are freezing.
I mean, that's probably at least 67 degrees in Florida. I mean, that's cold.
Yeah. Dude, I have family in Florida, and they literally do not own winter jackets. They come up here to visit, and they're like, I had to buy a jacket whenever I get up there. We just don't use them here.
Oh, my cousin, he lives in Melbourne, which is on the east coast of Florida, and it got down to 50, and I saw a picture of him bundled up with gloves, a knit hat, a jacket. I mean, we're talking the whole setup because it was 50 degrees out. It's cracking me up.
Okay. Can I read you one comment here related to this. We'll wrap on this dog situation.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got some other stuff we want to talk about, but this is a frequent flyer on the live streams, which John and I haven't set a concrete date, but typically we start back in February, so those should be coming back up
Usually right
soon.
after Valentine's Day.
Yeah, right around there. But Loafer X5409 on YouTube, you might recognize the name if you join the live streams. They're in there quite a bit. Said, be careful who you invite into your life. This doesn't sound like the type of person who is in the business of improving situations. I think those are very wise words,
Yeah.
because if you remember us talking, I said ideally I would be a positive influence and we would grow in the community and make this community a better place. Loafer X says, bro, you don't want this guy in your life. It may not be a positive thing. Would you agree?
I think what he's saying is be careful. I don't think he's saying don't do
Cautious.
it. I think he's just saying be careful. Make sure you really vet this person and know what it is that you're getting into, because it could come back to bite you in the butt. So
You are like the 5 closest people to you who you hang with, I think. I'm a
yeah,
strong believer in that, and I
I
kinda
agree with
preach
that.
that in the classroom.
I agree with that
So
100%. Hey, we also have another update from
oh,
last week's
yes.
episode that we have to do, and that's we asked people. We said, "Are you in favor of privacy fences?" And I gave my rant about them. And Jeremiah, for the first time in one of these polls in a while, I lost. You won. And overwhelmingly won. 81.8% of people that voted yes, that they are in favor of privacy fences. There are the 18.2 that held strong with me. But
They're in the wrong.
we lost on this one. But we did get some great comments too.
God,
SK
it's so
Flannery.
funny.
SK Flannery said, I'm not pro fence or anti fence. I'm pro liberty and freedom. Hashtag America.
Woo, woo, woo.
Then Chicken. This guy's name is Chicken Nipple. He said, sorry. Hey guys, I wanted to chime in on the laser eye surgery. I got it done about 15 years ago. It was the best money I ever spent. Do it. You won't regret it. That's good
Yeah,
for
we
me.
did.
I was the one that was looking into that. So that I appreciate the feedback. Then see you at the top 83 said, I died when Jeremiah asked, do you have doors on your bathroom? I just want to see how far you took this no privacy. And then the last one, Vincent Torres 75 says, I love getting to know my neighbors and saying hi to them. That can be done in the front yard though.
That's
So
so true.
And I said, I will half agree with him in the fact that very few people spend much time in their front yard. If they spend any time outside, it's usually in their backyard. So you can say that,
Dude,
but I guarantee it's probably not happening.
I don't think I told you this yet, but we went on a double date with Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
Mr. Backpacking with Jason. Yeah. And me and Bridget, of course, and got a babysitter, went out and had some food up in Lex. And then we went over and got to see, I hadn't been to Jason and Dot's house before. And, they gave us a little tour and we checked out the backyard. Guess what? The backyard has around it.
I'm guessing a privacy fence.
Yes, and so does every other house in that subdivision. And I was talking to Jason. He's like, yeah, the next door neighbors, sometimes we're hanging out and they have their privacy fence and we have ours, but they got a pool out there. They're just sitting out chilling and we're talking over the fence. And I was like, do y'all do it Tim Allen style? Is this like, what's
They
that
have
show?
like where it's like this.
Yeah, you got your eyes sticking over the fence. He said, yeah, we can't really see each other, but we do get to talk. They're nice people. So even with the privacy fence, you can still get to know your neighbors. You just won't know what they
You just
look
don't know what
like.
they look like. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay. So then if you see them in public, you don't have to talk to them. You just keep it moving. You're like, I don't even know this person.
Well, that's just sad.
Oh,
You don't want to know
man.
people in public?
Well, some I do, some I don't, Depends on where you're at, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the problem with Jeremiah. Everybody knows who you are.
Oh, I don't think that's true at all.
Oh, Jeremiah, you're the famous Jeremiah Stringer from YouTube. So, and I mean, come on, you're also on the biggest backpacking podcast in the world. When Joe Rogan's calling us for advice, we got this thing together, man. Rogan. We know. Okay, so we've got this. You sent this thing to us for us to look at, and I want to read this. This is an interesting post. Um, this was off the Homemade Wanderlust backpacking forum on Facebook.
Mhm.
Dixie put this page together. It was literally just to discuss backpacking stuff. And this guy named Trail Marshal Hiking posted this. He said, I made a post the other day about integrity, and he put integrity in all caps. I'd made mention of the ever-growing population of people along the Appalachian Trail taking advantage of the hiking community by ways of deception in order to collect donations. Some of these people are not hiking on the trail at all, but riding in cars from town to town, raiding hiker boxes for food, staying places for free, and using the donations for drugs and alcohol. Some of these people are working in groups where they all ask for money using their social media accounts in order to get trail angels to unknowingly donate repeatedly to the same fund. Some of those people are claiming to be raising money for charity, but collecting the money through their own Venmo accounts and never taking a step on trail. You can always tell who they are because they never post pictures on the trail. All of their photos are in town or at places along the trail where it's possible to drive to. There are a lot of scams that have been happening on the trail, and I just wanted my followers to be aware and safe. I wasn't talking about anyone in particular. I wasn't trying. Okay, we don't need to hear all that stuff, but that stuff is happening on trail, Jeremiah. What's your opinion on that? What do you think about that?
Well, let me tell you a quick story from my experience of living through this.
Yeah.
So, my wife and I did the Camino, and there's a big economy around it because there's multiple trails and you're going kind of city to city, so it's accessible. So you have like different people that will have a clipboard. This is just a scam that I ran into. She stopped my wife and I and claimed that she was deaf and she was trying to get signatures for blah blah blah, and then she was asking for money. And I think I gave her like a couple euros. And then like 3 days later, she was at another intersection in the trail. They're literally like hopping ahead of the bubble, hitting people up and asking for money. And I've seen this on TikTok too, exposing the people who they're doing this scam and claiming that they're deaf or have some kind of disability. And then they have footage of them where that's absolutely not true.
So was she deaf the second time?
Yeah, I think she was holding to it. She might actually been deaf too, but like
Yeah.
it's whenever you get up to them, you're like, well, there's some red flags, right?
Right,
So,
right, right.
like for one, for example, is the clipboard, and it looks like she's been using the same 4 pages for like 3 years. They're all battered and dirty, and it's
Yep.
got 3 signatures on it.
Yep.
So there's things to look for, but other than that, I hadn't really ran into anything. By the way, mentioning TikTok, John and I have been pretty much daily. Well, John mostly. He's doing all this work, but editing and uploading clips to TikTok and Instagram. I think it posts them on Facebook
Yeah.
and
It's getting on. We're getting on all the major things, the Facebooks, the YouTubes, the Instagrams, the TikToks, which are we got on that maybe a little too late. We'll see what happens
yeah,
on come Monday, but I have a feeling that TikTok's not going away, but we might have a little hiatus for a few weeks. Who knows?
yeah. So if you are able to follow us on there, we'd love to have you on TikTok and see some of those entertaining clips. If you're not able to catch the whole show, but Jason was telling me he was like section hiking the AT and he made it up to, I don't know, several hundred miles, 500 to 800 miles, somewhere in there. I don't know. And he was telling me about running into these people that permanently live on the AT. And I don't think they're drug abusers or anything like that, but they're just kind of homeless and just constantly live on the trail. They have gear that is like hand me down gear and doesn't keep them warm at all. They're laying out there. It's 25 degrees and they have like a 50-degree sleeping bag and they're
Yeah.
huddling together for warmth. And yeah, this right here, what you're talking about is a different situation that I haven't ran into. But I assume the latest through hikers have been seeing this or this guy wouldn't have posted it.
Well, I mean, it's it's one of those things that I'm surprised personally I haven't heard about before this.
Right.
Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that if there's a way for people to make money and scam people in the process, they're doing it, you know?
Hmm.
I mean, just yeah, I have yet to meet a family where at least one person didn't have their identity stolen at some point. It seems like
Yeah.
that's pretty typical these days. And so there's always somebody trying to scam people and get their money. Um, and in some ways I feel sorry for the people. Uh, not not saying what they're doing is okay, but I feel sorry for them. They feel like that's how they have to make money. You know, that their situation's so bad that they're willing to forego their own integrity and hurt other people in the process. Um,
Well, can I play a little devil's advocate for that post?
Absolutely.
So, one thing that was kind of weird to me that he or she had said there, what's the deal with them thinking somebody is doing substance abuse, but then they're trying to fake that they're through hiking by posting pictures in towns and stuff? That doesn't add up to me. That didn't really make sense. I just, if I think somebody is trying to scam on the AT, they, it seemed to me like he was saying that they are like fake hiking the AT and using that as a means to make money so they can fuel unhealthy habits. And I don't think that people that would do that, first of all, I don't know if if somebody that has substance abuse in their life that extreme, that that's the route that they're going, have enough integrity, to use his words, or discipline or drive, that they are going to hop from town to town to make it look like they're through hiking and then post stuff on social media about it too. That didn't really make sense to me. So maybe you can explain to me, or give me some input, or maybe clarify. Maybe I'm misreading what he said. Am I missing something here?
I don't
What does
know.
that
I don't know.
mean?
All I know is that people who make bad choices will continually make bad choices. So I don't think these people are people who are going to make wise choices regardless. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they were getting on Facebook and trying to garner people to meet them at intersections to get free food, money. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, Especially if they can get away with it. If there's no way to prove that they aren't, you know what I mean? How do you prove that they aren't doing it? I guess is my question.
Yeah, it's an odd thing because hike your own hike, the cliche is so prominent. So really, like when you're talking about integrity, I assume you're talking about, if you're going to actually through hike something and say that you through hiked it, then you actually have to walk it. And on the Camino, Bridget, she was sick and she took a bus for like 3 or 4 days,
Yeah.
and she still says she's a through hiker of the Camino. So it's almost a gray area. But I do remember, um, let's see, what was her name? This is kind of like airing out dirty laundry. So I don't.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Where she was blue. What do they call it?
Uh, Yellow blazing,
Yellow blazing. Yeah, she was yellow
yellow
blazing the
blazing.
trail.
Yeah, that's a. If
She'd
I'm not
ride from
mistaken,
trailhead to trailhead instead of actually hiking it.
yeah, if I'm not mistaken, yellow blazing is a slang term used to describe using a car to blaze past parts of the trail, and since the double yellow line,
But
it
then
kind of
turning
gives
around
the
and
name.
claiming that you actually hiked it.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I think everybody's fine with you hiking however you want. If you want to hike for a week, ride in a car for a week, knock out half the trail in like a
Just
month,
just don't lie
you
about it.
can do it. Yeah, you just have to be honest. So I think most people are fine with either. The bad part is whenever you are doing like what's equivalent to stolen valor, but for hiking, which is
Yeah.
two totally different things.
Well,
But
it's funny you mentioned that. I had a situation on the Sheltowee when I was hiking it where a buddy of mine, um, I told him, where I had come out at the last time I'd hiked and where I had to start, what trail I had to get to
mhm.
start the next section. It was all just drive you up there. I'm like, no, 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 don't do that. And he drove me up and we got there and I looked at him and said, well, you just added an hour and a half to my hike.
Oh,
And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, now I have to walk back and
and
walk
then back.
up.
Yeah, you're a
And so,
purist, huh? You got to
well,
touch
I
every blaze.
I didn't want to be like, yeah, I through hiked the Sheltowee, but there was like a 2 mile section I didn't hike it.
Yeah, I
So
think
that
there's
was a
very.
personal thing. I don't think for some people that wouldn't matter, but I was just like, plus I was doing a YouTube channel at the time. It wasn't, I mean, all of 37 subscribers at that point. But it was still that thing of I gotta do the whole thing. I can't say I'm gonna do the whole thing and not actually do it. And it was all road walking, which was the worst part. So it
It's
was like
not
a
my.
3/4 of a mile section I had to walk up. And so I had to walk back that 3/4 of a mile, then walk it back again. So it ended up being like a mile and a half or something. So it'd be like 45 minutes of extra hiking, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah. I I
I'm
I I struggle with somebody claiming they've hiked, like when they specifically say I've hiked 400 miles when they've hiked
mhm.
212 of it.
Yeah, that's a bit
That I have a problem with that. I do want to read through there was a bottom part to what he said. So I want to read this real quick. Just this was
Yeah,
the end
sure.
of that post. He said the things that I have seen firsthand on the trail and the love that I have for the thousands of people that I've come to know over the years through this page is what inspired me to alert folks of the growing problem. The Appalachian Trail is sacred to me and to many of you who are reading this post. To use it in a dishonest way is an assault on the values we share as an absolute insult to all of the thru hikers who have hiked the trail. That's my opinion, and I earned it, obviously. Or he said, hopefully the honest hikers who were hurt by comments understand the post wasn't about them. To dishonest hikers, if the shoe fits, wear it. I'm not the issue here. So apparently he had posted this thing about this and got ripped by people.
Yeah, the integrity thing, I would say, because,
Yeah.
that can be a little bit self-grandizing, and
Yeah.
I didn't read the previous post, but I'm just assuming here, and we know what they say about assuming, but I'm just assuming here that sometimes when you make post or say things like that, it's a bit of not like virtue signaling, but the equivalent of that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the right word that I'm looking for, but, I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You're like putting yourself kinda on a pedestal saying, "I earned this. I get to speak on it. I did it." So, I I don't know if, you're picking up what I'm putting down here, but
Yeah, it's almost kind of like a holier than thou kind of thing you have to be careful of.
yeah, and that may not be the case, to be fair to
Yeah.
him or her. I didn't
May
read the
not be at
previous
all.
post, but yeah, but also, you can't take life too serious either. I mean,
Yeah.
if this is entertainment here, we're just hanging out, talking about fun
Yeah.
stuff with backpacking and hiking, but,
But in his defense, I can say it would bother me if someone I knew
mhm,
had given like 50 or $100 to somebody
mhm,
thinking it was going to some organization only to find out later that guy had nothing to do with any organization like that and he was
mhm.
just in town getting beers with his buddies on the money you gave him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not okay.
And and sometimes saying drugs and alcohol can be read as they're a junkie. Maybe it's not they're a junkie, they're just getting party money.
That could be too,
And
yeah,
and
there's a
and
lot of partying. It's part of the culture
yeah,
on the AT.
and even in that, do what you want to do, but don't being dishonest about getting money so you can do that. That's pretty gross. You know what I mean?
What about rating the hiker boxes? Have you ever used a hiker box before? Because they were all over the place on the long trail when I was doing it, and they
I
are
didn't.
hand
I've never really gotten into them. I don't really. I haven't had any need to.
mhm.
Um.
Well, if the
So
opportunity arises, they can be a godsend. It's like one of those things, almost like divine intervention. It's the one thing you need.
yeah.
Like whenever I was on the long trail, I had a foot injury, like ankle injury, and I was like, "Gosh, if I just had a wrap to put around my ankle, I think I can keep going." And then we literally that day get to a hostel and we go through the hiker box, and there's different stuff in there, food and half can of used propane and just your average trekking pole, stuff that people didn't want or need, and they kept going.
Well, I've heard of
And
people leaving like heavy sleeping pads,
yeah.
headlamps that they wanted something lighter. Um, they brought 2 water filters and realized that was dumb, and so
Mhm.
they leave a water filter behind. I've heard of people getting like brand new Sawyer squeeze filters out of those things.
Yeah, and you know what, there was a wrap in there, just like the stretchy
Yeah.
elastic wrap that you would use like the ace bandage
Yeah.
style. And you know what, I use that the rest of the trail. It's sitting over here on a shelf over my right shoulder. And I've used it since then, actually, to wrap
Yeah.
a knee or something. But yeah, it's almost like divine intervention that just happened to what you need just happens to be in that box that somebody else left there for you. So if what he's saying is true about rating the hiker boxes, um, I don't know. It's kind of also a gray area because if that person's hungry and needs food, you don't want them to go without and starve.
Right.
But at the same time, nothing in life is free. You know,
Mhm.
it's it's a tough world out there.
Well, and I think it comes down to the heart of it all. What is it there for? It's for people that are through hiking to find
Mhm.
supplies if they need them. Um, and if you're not through hiking and you're taking those supplies, then it's kind of yes, it's a gray area, but at the same time, I've hiked sections of the Appalachian Trail, and I've
Mhm.
gone to places where I've seen water stashes and things like that. But I was just like day hiking or doing a 2 or 3 day hike. I didn't touch the stuff. That was me
Right.
personally because I'm not through hiking it, and I know what that's there for. That's for people who've been hiking for weeks, and, there's a chance that they're low on supplies or they're starving and they haven't had a really decent meal in a while, and, that's stuff for them, and so I personally have stayed away from that stuff because, I know I haven't through hiked anything of that magnitude, but I have through hiked a 350-mile trail, and so to be able to get that stuff on, like, an overnight backpacking trip or a day hike, I just feel like that's not right. I don't think we should be doing that. I think that
Mhm.
should be left for the people who are out there doing the hard work of through hiking,
Mhm.
and that's really what it's there for anyways.
Yeah, I agree, and I have experienced some of that trail magic, and it is magical, dude. There's nothing like you're like, "I know the next water source is 4 miles away. I'm out of water." And then you get to a road crossing, and
Right,
there's a big cardboard box
right.
full of gallons of water or bottled water. You're like,
Yep.
"Oh, thank you, God. This is exact." The trail provides, bro. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I know that's another cliche, but it really does provide.
Yeah, when I was hiking on the Sheltowee, we got to a section that was probably the hardest 5-mile section of the entire trail, and that weekend, they had had a big trail running event on that section of the trail. It was near
Alright.
Cumberland Falls, and, it's through the dog slaughter area. I think you probably know that area. Um,
Sure.
but, we were hiking through that, and we get to a spot, and we were starting to get a little low on water, and we look over, and somebody had left, like, 15 one-gallon jugs of water, of drinking water for through hikers. And, dude, you know how nice it was to not have to filter? To just
Yeah.
go over and pour like, fill everything up, you know?
Mhm.
Um, there's something the trail magic is it is magic. I mean, there is nothing like a trail angel, like a legitimate trail angel. It
Yeah,
to
and you
just
don't
change your
care.
whole mindset because we were hiking literally the toughest part of the entire trail. I think we ran into, like, 3 or 4 copperheads along the
Wow.
way. What we thought was gonna be, like, an hour and a half hike turned into, like, 3 or 4 hours because of all of the climbing that we had to do over rocks, the difficult terrain. It was a difficult section, and that water couldn't have come at a better time.
Yeah, and you don't even care if it's filled up from a garden hose. You're like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best thing in the world."
You could look at it and see it wasn't pond water. I mean, it was beautiful, crystal clear. I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome, and I think it's pretty sad when people will, um go in and ruin that by taking it from people that actually need it
Yeah,
for
I agree.
what it's there for, I guess I should say.
Yeah, there's one other thing I was wanting to talk to you about today,
Oh, yeah?
and, yeah, it's about, another little thing, another little piece nugget of info that we talked about last week was, kinda like our values, but also stacking down and
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah.
what made me think about this is somebody I can't remember who, but they were talking about redowning their stuff, and I was like, "What does that even mean?" But basically,
Yeah.
they were saying, over time, down let's say you're in your sleeping bag and your skin, it produces these oils and sweat, and that just kinda sticks to the down, and then over time, it gets less and less fluffy. So the
Right.
answer to that is to use something like Nick Wax or, some other product that is made for washing down.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of people have special things that they put into the dryer so that it helps fluff the down up. I think there's like some spiky balls, or I think even tennis balls, if you do it the right way, would be
Mhm.
fine. But they were talking about how their gear is so deflated basically that they were wondering would it be okay to put more down in there. So that got me thinking, dude. I went up to UGQ. This was several years ago, and it
Yeah.
was in their original shop. And if anybody wants, you can check out a little tour and stuff of their shop on my YouTube channel. Just type in Jeremiah Stringer and then UGQ shop, and you'll find it. Just Google that.
Yep.
And you can see how they put the down in the sleeping bags or top quilts. I think I was actually doing an underquilt at the time. And dude, that down will get everywhere. And they bought it in bulk.
Everywhere.
They even had like special vacuuming tools so that it was like made to take the down from how they have it stored to put it into the sleeping bags without it making a mess. Because if you if you don't have that thing fully inserted into the underquilt and you're trying to inject the down in there, it just poof, and then you have feathers flying everywhere, and it's very, very, very expensive too.
And
Like I
it's
was getting 950.
fine. Down
Yeah.
is so fine. Okay, and I can
Anybody that's torn a jacket, you know that that stuff just goes everywhere.
okay, I've known how bad it is. I didn't know how bad it was until I actually hunted deers or hunted ducks and geese.
Oh,
When
what
you have to
happened?
clean the goose or clean the duck afterwards,
Mhm.
dude, those feathers go everywhere. You've got the big feathers on top, but then underneath is the down is the under feathers. They're like the feathers underneath the
Uh-huh.
larger feathers on the bird. And so they're super fine, but they're the insulating layer. Like the
Yeah.
top layer is kind of like the waterproof layer of feathers, I guess you could say, the part that keeps weather off of them. Then the underside of those feathers is your down. And that stuff, they're so tiny, dude. They're so little. And they literally, when you're cleaning that animal, they go everywhere. It's unbelievable.
What do you think about the average person saying, "This jacket needs to be refluffed"? Do you think it'd be okay for me to redown it? I don't even know what the logistics would look like for that, and I think it'd be more cost effective to just buy a new one probably.
Honestly, man, I don't think you'll ever need to read down a sleeping bag. I
Uh-huh.
think just washing it the right way will take care of that. You won't even have to worry about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
and
think I think that's going to be your best bet. I think most guys I know who have washed a sleeping bag or a quilt, they say it's almost like it's brand new again when
it
they do
really
it.
fluffs it back up.
Yeah, it does. It does because it's loft that you need. It's not more feathers. It's not all, the answer isn't always more feathers. It's more just getting the loft back because it's the loft that traps the heat that keeps you warm.
Yeah, we got an email from one of our listeners after they listened to last week's show,
Yeah, I've got it pulled
and
up right here.
all right, you wanna read some of it? Because he's gonna tell us some about kinda stacking these. Because we know it's not a direct, like, one-to-one ratio for warmth, but go ahead, a little bit more info on more warmth and loft.
Yeah, it was Hike with Jeff. I won't give his actual name, but he went with Hike with Jeff. He said, "Hey gents, greetings from Minnesota." So if there's gonna be right away, I'm telling you, this guy knows what he's talking about
Minnesota.
because dude's from Minnesota, eh? But he says I was out walking in -10 degrees Fahrenheit with my third 2.5 mile walk for the day when I was listening to your cold weather tips from Kentucky when you asked the questions of how to combine sleeping bag ratings. I had the same problem last January as I was going on a backpacking overnight on a -10 degree night. -10, Jeremiah. I'm guessing that's just the temperature, not the wind. Like that's not the wind chill.
Yeah. I'm gonna be
Um,
watching a movie and drinking hot chocolate at home at those temps.
right, right. He said, "Here's what I did and how it worked out. My normal sleeping bag is a Western mountaineering bag, 6'6", 30-degree mega light, overstuffed with a total of 15 ounces of 850 fill down and 4 inches of loft." These numbers are important, by the way, so you understand where he's coming from on this. He says, "I've used this at 18 degrees Fahrenheit many times, and that seems to be its limit for me, even without a pad." Now, the question of adding sleeping bags, he goes, "I looked at Western Mountaineering's website, and the Lynx bag has a rating of -10 degrees Fahrenheit and similar dimensions as my bag. This bag has 9 inches of loft." Can we just start with that? 9 inches of loft
Dang, -10 degree.
and 34 ounces of 850 fill down, over 2 pounds of down. Um, he said, "My wife's bag is a 6 foot Western Mountaineering Terralite 25-degree bag with 5 inches of loft and 18 ounces of 850 down. Well, I added the loft of the two bags and got the same as the Lynx -10 degree bag, and the amount of down was pretty close. 33 ounces to 34 ounces. So his bag and his wife's bag together was 33 ounces of loft, or 33
Mhm.
ounces of down. He says the other consideration was that the Terralite, being a semi-rectangular bag, fit around my bag when it wasn't fully zipped. So he put the two bags, he stacked the two bags, and he said the result was I went to sleep in my tent on an uninsulated pad with a puffy coat and slept until 10:30 in the morning. I was toasty warm."
Well, can we all agree that, hiking with Jeff, he's laying on an uninsulated pad? You're insane, bro. I
Crazy
mean,
man. But he said
he's
he slept
much
warm.
tougher than me.
So
Yeah. Well, he's tougher than me. I couldn't do it, man. That is insane. I'm
Well, I mean,
impressed.
the blood's just a little thicker in Minnesota, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it is, dude. I
It's
think
a
you're right.
little thicker up there. They can handle the cold a little better than we can. But I mean that just goes to show you it's that loft is such a big deal. 9 inches of loft, and there was more down, but it wasn't. I think the kicker is here. If you put more down into the same space, this is just me talking. I'm no scientist. I'm no like down backpack maker or a sleeping bag maker.
Expert.
But if you're just jamming more down in there, you're actually probably killing loft
That's
because
definitely
you're
a
jamming
possibility.
more material into a smaller area. On that Western Mountaineering bag, it's not the same loft. It's higher loft, which means more space. So when you put more down in, that down still has the loft it needs, which is why I don't think taking a sleeping bag and putting more down into it is actually going to help a whole lot as much as it may actually hurt the sleeping bag. And I could be wrong on this. So if you think I'm wrong or you know something I don't know, send it in the comment and let us know. But that's a really cool email. I'm glad he sent that to us. And then he showed a picture. Let me see if I can download this and show you the picture because this is pretty cool.
All right. And while you're doing that, I'll say if anybody else wants to send us an email instead of a comment's great too, but backpackingpodcast@gmail.com. Look at that, -8 degrees Fahrenheit. And what
Yep.
is that, a Z-Pax?
No,
That
that
looks
is
like
a
a Z.
Durston X
No?
Mid 2 Pro.
Oh, okay.
My
Yeah, I see
personal
the
favorite
tag.
tent. Like, um, I have that tent. That tent is awesome, and I don't like tents, but I love that tent.
And
So,
he said Western Mountaineering on that sleeping bag. I
dude,
gotta say,
I'll bet you that
overrated.
sleeping bag's $1,100. Like if he
Yeah,
was
and
the one he was talking about, the 1500, the 15 degree,
mhm.
-15 degree, guarantee that's $1,100.
You mind if I Google it real quick on their website and see what was the temp on it?
It's a -15.
-15 degree. Let's see what it says. Western Mountaineering, that's a 15-degree version, is $700.
Yeah.
So this one says 720 for the Versa Light, which is a 10 degree. Well, and it's 6'6", so it's probably even more. That's a big bag. He must be tall like I am. I got to tell you, dude, I have a Western Mountaineering and overrated, overpriced. Still quality gear, good
Yeah.
gear. But for most people, including myself, $750 is out of the range of possibility for me to have one sleeping bag. So if you're
Okay,
talking about
okay, I
a
found
thousand,
the links. I found the
okay,
links. -10 to -2300 or -23. It's -10 Fahrenheit, -23 centigrade. 950 to $1,010.
yeah, you know what you could do instead is go to outdoorvitals.com and get you a 0 degree bag. And if you want, you can
That's
even get
right.
two bags for way less and stack them. You could get 2 0 degrees, and then you literally have an infinite amount of warmth stacking those two. You
Exactly.
can go down to
Exactly.
negative 500 degrees, and Outdoor Vitals will keep you warm.
Well, and
My
let's be
disclaimer
honest.
is that's not true.
This sleeping bag. If you get Jeremiah, you would have to have the 6'6" version. Like, there's no getting around that for
Yeah,
you. That is
cost more.
almost a 4-pound sleeping bag. That's 3 pounds 11 ounces.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the comfort rating or the survival rating there in the negatives.
Man, I don't trust those ratings. There are very few companies that I trust that rating. But I trust Outdoor Vitals and I trust UGQ. Those are the two. I actually was just on another podcast this past week talking about that, and I said point blank, those are the two companies that I trust when it comes to temperature ratings.
Mm. What do you say to the people that say it's unethical about the down? You know, they only use synthetic. Do you say UBU and I'm going to continue to use both? You say, oh, I agree. I think I'm going to get rid of all. Let's burn our down sleeping bags to sacrifice them to the geese gods.
I
What do you think?
say, que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. You do whatever you want. I'll do whatever I want. I'm not going to villainize you. I just appreciate if you don't villainize me.
Oh, hiking your own hike, bro. Look at you.
That's my opinion on it, and you know it's okay if people want to be mad about it. You know, go you be you. You be mad.
Mm.
And I'll
I have
probably listen
seen.
to some like comedy podcasts and laugh a lot and have a good time. Like the backpacking podcast. That's a good podcast to listen to.
I agree. Here for
I,
your entertainment.
I think sometimes we get a little bent out of shape about things, and it's okay if that's something you're passionate about. You be you, and
Mm,
I will not fault you for that. But as far as I'm
mm.
concerned, I would rather have down. It's just proven lighter and warmer, typically over
Yeah,
most synthetics.
yeah. I will tell you, dude. Though, um, the not the synthetic, it is easier to wash.
Oh,
Um,
much easier. Yeah.
yeah, and I think I told this on the podcast a couple weeks ago. I washed mine, and that was like my first time washing those. Well, they're synthetic
Yep.
jackets, and it was so easy and literally just hang dry. A couple of them said tumble dry low.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, if I had known it was this easy, if I was not so lazy that I would actually read the tags on everything and just taking care of this instead of procrastinating like a normal human being, then I would have known a long time ago that those synthetics are very, very easy to wash. So you do have, there are some hoops to jump
Well,
through
there's
because
pluses and minuses for everything, in my opinion. I think everything has a plus and a minus. And you know what else has a plus and a minus, Jeremiah?
what's that?
This podcast. We have some awesome new stuff that's coming out on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, and I think even Facebook. We got stuff coming out all the time. You're going to love some of it. Some of it might make you mad. If it does, comment on it and let us know how mad it makes you. If it makes you happy, comment on that too. We just like hearing from you. We love the backpacking podcast community. You guys are awesome. Jeremiah, I know you've got to get on an or on a pickup to take someone to go get a flight, don't you?
No, no, that's not what I'm doing. I'm going to pick up my dad, and we're going to have some father son, maybe grandson time too, watching the UK game.
Ooh, that's even better. That's even better. And I don't want to
It's
take
going
you
to be
away from
fun.
that. I definitely don't want to take you away from that. So, for myself and for you, Jeremiah Stringer, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.